This is one example that was left behind last year. There's no new techniques here except for the structure is a little bit bigger, so you are going to need to allow some things to dry. So I've already made some 4 panels over here. You don't need to have all of them exact. They can be really creative and they don't need to be boxy, but that's the basic structure, and I'll show you just how to cut one of those slabs and then I'll leave the rest up to you. So this student got really creative. They're relief carving here and then added these little side pouches here. Okay? So I'll just show you the panels, and you don't need to do like a box or a square. It could be slanted up to the side or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the top first, and all the other ones, my top is about 6 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to cut a nice straight line at the top. 6 3/4. Then I'm going to trace, I'm going to find out where 11 inches down is and just kind of make a dot on each side. I want the bottom to be 3 3/4. I'm going to go down where I measured my 11 inches. I'm just going to trace a line here, about 4 inches. The reason I trace it is because I want to make sure I get my angles right first. Let me double check that just to make sure. Okay. So I'm just tracing that line, then I'm going to cut this one right at 11 inches. And the other side. This one I'm going to trace as well. So I'm just giving you strategies to make this, so that way you don't end up with a bunch of crooked pieces. So I look at it now and make sure that the lines are all adjusted properly and make sure that the bottom is big enough. Lucked out and got that, nailed it. Sometimes it takes a couple tries. So now I'm going to cut the bottom. Then I'll cut that last stripe. I'm going to cut a little relief piece there to get my clay away from it. Use this to make my next panel. And you guys may want to write it down, but it takes about 3.5 pounds to make each panel if they're optimal size. Now say you wanted to cut a slant. I would have made it taller for this one if I wanted to cut a slant, but measure it across. So you can make one that's slanted and then just measure and see exactly where it lines up on the ruler, so that way you can cut all of them the same. Last year I had somebody do like a big swirl across the top. I've had a few ice cream cone looking things. Be creative, be original. The other suggestions or tips, if you will, that I would give to you in making these is once you have these made, set them up to where they can dry, and they'll dry together. I do not recommend blow drying because they dry uneven. Some people like to get hasty with it, and then the middle is more moist and the outside is more dry, and so it just changes the moisture levels. You want them to dry together. I usually stack them and bag them each day, and then let them sit out, open, spread out. Also, once they harden, I usually build it like this. I'll build 2 panels here, and the other one would be across here. Get those scored and slipped. The last wall, I like to do it while it's standing. So I do 3 walls, then get it standing and put the last one on. And the reason for that is the last one that goes on, if you do it on there sideways, one, it pushes a lot of weight on your 2 side panels, so those may bulge out, but also the one that's left may sag down, so you want it to be upright. Now how do you think we're going to do the bottom of this? From what you've learned all throughout the year, how do you think we'll make the bottom? What? Trace it, yes. So once you get the whole structure and it has no bottom, set it on top of a slab, trace it. You do not have to make it fitted. It can be little pedestals or anything you'd like to, as long as it has a bottom, and then you can add anything extra to it. Okay? Anybody have any questions? All right.